says it's still publishing, but it says I'm live, so I don't know. I am not at all sure. Is it working? Am I live? Is this happening? It is. Okay, cool. We're just gonna pause me on here. And excuse me while I don't know. I get my own link and spam people I know, because, you know, because I like doing that, I guess. But hey, hello everybody. I think I'm the only person watching myself right now, but I wanted to try actually making streams on my YouTube channel. Please ignore Markiplier. And such. But yeah, no, I wanted to hop on here because I really have not been active, like, at all over the last couple of weeks, and it was bugging me because I just kind of wanted to let's just get rid of this awful freeze frame of my face over there. You guys can check out some of the things that I watch on my actual personal YouTube channel that when I'm lazy I just don't switch over, so it's just gonna be over here. But yeah, I haven't been active at all on the channel lately because I have been, you know, streaming. Sorry, I am trying to type and think at the same time, and I've never been good at doing both of those things, let alone one of them. So, you know, I'm a failure. But yeah, I have not at all been active on the channel because guess what? I got a job, and that is big hype. I am going to disappear for just like a second, so don't freak out. But yeah, I actually got a job recently, like a full-time position doing something, and it's a lot of fun. I get to work with stuff that I'm fairly interested in, but it really doesn't have a lot to do with the channel, so I don't want to necessarily go into it specifically, but it is something that, you know, switching from doing some part-time stuff and, you know, being able to really do YouTube videos and stuff in my free time, and even then I was never really good with the whole time management thing, being able to, you know, go in and work many hours a day and then come home and eat and have to take care of, you know, pets and other responsibilities and stuff, I haven't been able to be as productive on the channel as I normally enjoy. So, yeah, so hopefully I am going to be able to actually make some progress here on the Sandman video, and the big reason that I originally wanted to stream was to try to convince myself to work on stream, basically. That's probably going to go out the window because I don't really know how long I'm going to be on here, but I did want to touch base, and I'm sorry I'm not as well-spoken as I am in what is really bringing people to my channel, my Starlight Brigade video, which has been getting a lot of attention recently. Like, what is it at right now? I'm pretty sure this comment is a response, because, like, just before I launched this, I hopped onto my channel, and I had just a bunch of comments, because it's literally been days since I've checked anything, and I am so happy. Like, certain videos, like, blow my mind. Like, why people, like 100 people have wasted their time on watching me butcher Bo Burnham's Sad. But, like, some weird videos that have just kind of, like, broken all of my expectations. Sorry, I'm trying to send this out on my phone to people that I know, because the majority of people that support me are just people that I know and annoy into being my loyal followers. But, like, yeah, some videos that just, like, were memes or random things that just turned out way too good, basically. Maybe that's not what I say, but, like, I'm really upset the Doug Dimmadome video never blew up because I laughed my butt off at that. But like this Bat Quarters one, which I basically made, I tried to make it on TikTok and struggled because I'm not 14 and just couldn't figure it out. So I made it on my computer. This Morgan and Morgan video, which, you know, has over 200 views for something versus like, you know, some of these other videos which I put like more time and concentration into. This Danny Fanta one, which I'm ridiculously proud of, but is again just like some stupid meme. I'm glad that those are also doing well on my channel, but by far, like, this is my like crowning achievement right here with a 1.8k. I mean, like, what's it sitting at? Like, it's almost at 2,000 videos, and I almost have, 2,000 views, and I am almost at 100 subs, and that is absolutely awesome. So, you know, I don't know exactly where this is going to go up, if I keep this, if this is just going to be lost to time, if it's going to go on this channel, or not, or maybe it'll go on one of my side channels, because I do have side channels that I never use. Like, this is supposed to be a discussion channel, this is just supposed to be for gaming content, this is supposed to be for, like, stream previews, and I have, like, one on here. It has 6 views, so I'm pretty proud of that, and that's me, like, just drawing on Twitch for a little while, and it actually led to some, like, really interesting, it led to these stickers design. Whoopsies. These sticker designs, like the cat, which started off that little, like, 4 sticker thing, which I'm still selling. I have a good few of them left, but I have sold some, which has, you know, every time I sell one, it makes me really happy. But that is where that design came from. So it's really cool that, like, you know, that wasn't something that I had originally intended on coming up with or doing specifically, but, you know, the fact that it was something that I just sort of made off the cuff at a stream and then was like, oh wow, you know, this is actually a really cute design, I like this, and now it's on, you know, logos and shirts and jackets, and I've been meaning to, you know, once I get some up and coming paychecks, hopefully I'll be able to snag myself some of my own merch. I do have my just sci-fi media t-shirt, which I really love. It's a lot of fun. It's just like a really, I love my new logo design, but there are definitely going to be coming some aesthetic changes to the channel, to my character, to my format, that I want to kind of issue in with the Sandman. And again, I'm going to get into all of that. Again, I just have to spam people and be like, hey, watch my content, send other people to watch my content, because I don't really know how anyone else really makes it in this, on this platform, and no, I know exactly how they make it. They actually work hard, unlike me, by putting in like the time and effort and actually putting out videos consistently, versus me, who I'm like, wow, I sure am sleepy, time for a nap, and nothing ever gets done. That is my eternal struggle on this platform. Is my own laziness is my greatest defeat. Is there anyone else I want to send it to? Spamming my friends is the highlight of my day. All right, probably not. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to get my camera back up now. And we're just gonna boop. All right. Hey, I'm back. Wow. What do I even have playing in the background right now? Is it good? I'm just hoping that this like doesn't get taken down. I found like a streaming non-copyright like Twitch playlist. I'm hoping it's not a lie, and in fact it is non-copyright, and I'm not gonna have YouTube just hit me with all of the demonetization. I don't even know if you guys can hear it. It's a little bit louder. I don't know. As you can see, I'm a strict professional. But yeah, let's blast some people that are responding. Somebody's actually referencing something in my video. Oh god. What did I say at 10:30? 6 days after its release, the video hit 1 million views on YouTube, and it's sitting at just shy of 5 million at the time of this.
Oh god. Oh my god. What was my voice? Ah. God, why did any of you listen to me? Wow. Alright, that was horrible. Not to put any of these people on blast, I am so sorry. Please enjoy my cringe comment responses, because I try to respond to every comment. I might not always get to people as soon as I'd like to, but I do try to get to people as regularly as I can. Because, you know, that's like, you guys have decided to subscribe. You guys are sitting here watching my videos. You guys are the reason that I'm able to express myself in this format. But, you know, it's definitely, it's weird to me, because, you know, I'm used to going on like a Reddit or a Twitter. I don't use Twitter. Occasionally Reddit. I don't know. I don't use the internet correctly, but occasionally I find myself online discussing nerd topics. And again, it's as of late, because of like my lack of free time, it's more so just been in response to my content, where if I'm posting something about the Owl House, I end up talking to people about the Owl House. If I end up posting something about Symbiotic Titan, then I'm going to talk to people about Symbiotic Titan. And it's really cool finding that there's a lot of people that are interested in these, because, you know, while both of those are animated shows, you know, they're very different ends of the spectrum. You know, you have Owl House, which is a show that's coming out right now, and it's a show that's very new and very trending, and a lot of people want to talk about it. But then you have shows like, you know, Symbiotic Titan, which is a show that really never got to reach its full potential, but is something that still has left an impact on a lot of people. And I'm glad, like, when I do get to do a little bit of a dive into something, and maybe I don't always get to go as deep as I want. Like, if I wanted to go as deep as I want, these videos would be ridiculously long. Even my Sandman series video, where I wanted to go in depth, I knew that there was kind of like a limit to how far I needed to go in talking about everything, and my analysis of that, and my summaries, because just the summaries for this video are like pages and pages long, and I definitely think that it's going to be worth it in the end. But you know, part of me is like, should I have gone more detailed? Should I do this? So, you know, that, you know, issue with my own internal process is like a big thing also about why my videos take, you know, as long as they do, in terms of everything going on with all these other factors. And again, the Sandman series is one that has a lot to talk about, and it's something that I'm very excited about. And it's also something that I want it to be a important video in terms of the channel, in terms of the direction I'm taking the channel, in terms of maybe not necessarily in redefining the content, because it's very much the similar content, but like a big change in terms of the aesthetics. You know, anyone who wants to watch this back, or, you know, wants to pop in while I'm talking about it, I will refresh during this video. But I have made 2 or 3 very jokey, you know, videos just talking about non-serious topics. I'll probably touch on them in this stream, but it's just really funny things, and maybe we'll just watch them here, and you know, maybe I'll cut them out and just upload them. I don't know, because I think they're both basically done, but it was just, that wasn't the origin I necessarily wanted. And maybe it's weird to focus on something like this, but I am making what I consider to be a big change to the channel, and it's something that I am going to touch on again more in this video, or in this stream. I don't know how to stream. But yeah, so I also have here, just like, busted out an old Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle mat from back when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And weirdly enough, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been a topic that's been coming up in my life a few times recently, which is weird considering it's a game that I really am no longer in touch with in any specific amount, but I did play it for a time. I played it, like, I never really even went to tournaments. Like, I went to, like, one as a kid and got ripped off and had some people take some cards that I didn't know how much they were worth, because, you know, they were, like, 20-something-year-olds, and I was late middle school, early high school. And they just, like, came up to me, and I was just like, wow, I recognize those cards from the show. Those are cool. And they were like, yeah, you want them? And then they, you know, handed me some, like, common magic cylinder or something for
some new cards I had from whatever set was big at the time. I honestly think it was from like one of the battle pack sets, like War of the Giants, like what this is. Like, this is battle pack 2, but I think there was one before that, so it might have been from that, and it was like a Megalo Shark Man, dude. It's been a long time. And they ended up taking, it wasn't $100 card, it wasn't $1,000 card, it was like a $20-something card and like a $30-something card, but like still, like, really, like, you obviously knew, like, the kid doesn't know what he's talking about, and you could just be like, I'm not going to take advantage of the situation in order to get this card, which I would normally have to purchase. It's just really a dick move, but, there's always going to be those Kaibas out there, you know what I'm saying? And it does bring me eternal joy. If any of you guys ever checked out Fact Fiend, I highly recommend it. Great channel for just, like, random facts, ranging from just, like, about existing people to, random events to animals, and a lot of them are, like, very nerd-centered around, like, specific interest, and one that, like, I take a lot of joy in is the fact that, like, there is a real person of which Kaiba was based on from Yu-Gi-Oh! That, like, the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was, like, trying to get into a card game and ended up trying to, like, reach out to somebody who is, well known, and basically he gave, like, a very Kaiba answer of, like, talk to me when you've played 10,000 games. Like, bruh, just give the dude some tips, or just say, like, hey, I don't really have time to talk right now. But, like, if somebody's getting into an interest and you're, like, really into that interest, I've never really understood being so standoffish, like, they shouldn't deign to talk to you, for you truly are the elite. Like, you play a card game, dude. Like, don't you want more people to be interested in your hobby? And it's really weird, that perspective that a lot of people have on these certain topics. Like, I had an experience the other day where I was watching another video where they were kind of talking about, like, the Warhammer community, and this is all I know about Warhammer. It's called Warhammer. It's like there's some fantasy stuff in it, and there's figurines. And that is, I don't know anything about the universe. You could tell me something from, like, the lore, and I would just be like, sure, yeah, that sounds right. You just make it up. I literally know very little about Warhammer. But the video was more so focusing on the fact that, like, somebody was getting, into a big stink about, like, some statements made about by the people who own Warhammer, where they were just trying to be more inclusive, and they were like, well, they don't really care. And I'm like, of course they don't. They're a corporation. Say hello to Wendigo. No, cat. I just got something that was like, do you want to remove your display capture? And I'm like, not particularly, no. Because she sat on my keyboard, and now she's knocking over medication, and she is just being a good girl. What are you doing, huh? Trying to mess with my stream? Mwah. Go on your perch. But yeah, they were just kind of talking about how, like, it was a reaction video. But it was, the person, like, was very much so, and, talking about, like, their issue with the statement and, like, how it was bad. But, like, at the end of the day, like, this was very much one of those individuals who has a problem with certain people joining their hobby. The big stereotype for more, like, nerdy things like Warhammer and D&D and stuff, and way less so with D&D now, with its big rise in, like, the general popularity, in terms of, like, it's something that's very much so moved onto mainstream, and it was heading in that direction for a while. And then you had things like Critical Role, you had for, like, people who are less so internet inclined, or, like, were specifically seeking out that content, or were, like, caring about the voice actors and stuff, like, a big part of the big push was, its representation in more mainstream media, off online stuff, like, in terms of, Stranger Things, in which it was a part of the show that got some focus. I've seen very little bit of Stranger Things, to my my younger sister's dismay, because she absolutely loves the show, and I have been meaning to eventually check it out, but it is not something that I have really watched more than a couple episodes really out of order in, and could tell you nothing about it. I mean, I know a little bit about it because it's kind of hard to exist online when there is a show that is quite popular, and avoid all kind of discussion of it, or memes, or reference, or spoilers of any kind. So I've gotten a lot of out of context things,
But yeah, it's just another example. But a lot of people still have this issue with certain people's, girls, or I'm not here to talk about anything serious, but it's just weird to me that people like don't want people, like, more people in their hobby. I'm like, aren't these like games you play with other people? Wouldn't it be cool to be able to like get new ideas and fresh concepts and hang out with people and do different things? I mean, especially in games like, D&D, which, is benefiting greatly from the diversity within it, because, if you're building a character, or running the game itself, you're running the game, then of course you're going to have a huge influence on the story and the events and the things that are taking place. But might just turn that down. I don't know. Of course you're going to have an influence over like a lot of those things, but it's, every character changes how the story goes. You put them into situations in which they make decisions and stuff like that. Like, I have a D&D game which admittedly has struggled to get off the ground. We really haven't set down any times to make sessions. And again, that's a lot on me, but a lot on other people as well. I'm not like trying to blame anybody, but like this has been a big time for everybody, not just in terms of the world situation, but also in terms of our personal lives. Most people that I hang out with are, in school, just got out of school, trying to find jobs, are working jobs. So like all of those things are going to be at play, whether it's, in terms of, oh, well, I just got a job, so these days don't work for me, or, oh, well, I work nights because I do this kind of work, or, oh, well, I'm moving, so I got to focus on, that situation and internal stress and personal problems. And at the end of the day, like, these games are supposed to be fun, and whether it's just for one person or whether it's for multiple people, I feel like trying to push it so that we are doing something, even at the, again, it should be fun. And all the people that I'm involved with are people that I consider my friends. Some of them I've known a little longer. Some of them I've met rather recently. But I like every single person that I'm playing with, and I want them to, and I hope they understand the same for me, is like wanting everybody to be happy, healthy, and make sure that they, we're not like making anyone feel bad because the game can't start. So we've been doing a little bit of like world building over just like text and stuff like that in terms of like character interactions, and doing like a lot of like text-based roleplay stuff, because that's really how I got into like the more so roleplay community and stuff. Online, yeah, I was that cringe kid, but I always took it more so as a way not to just be like lol xd nuzzles. I used it as a really fun outlet for just creative writing, and it was often more fun for me to write with a person, often multiple people, and I have certain friends, one in particular who has been on a few of my previous podcasts, my buddy Cullen, who is just a great person to write with, just because we've been doing it for so long. We very much know each other's personalities while writing. We have been in several different worlds and different like kind of campaign type stories, and we tend to stick with our personal writing interests and our personal character interests. So he oftentimes likes very emotional characters that have, issues with family. He tends to like characters that have, he really likes the idea of like siblings that have, or twins that have some kind of like conflict, and often places character as like a person in that situation whose, past or family is not the happiest situation, but their character is often an optimist, somebody who's very like peppy, whether or not that's obviously to hide something underneath, or whether or not they just truly are like optimism in the face of everything, while I tend to be an edgelord, and just edge. But yeah, I never really outgrew being an eighth grader, where I want like these edgy, dark, cool characters who wear all black. Like, I try to go outside of my comfort zone a little bit with that, but don't at me. I know I'm cringe. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be making videos on YouTube. I feel like everybody on this platform is a little bit cringe. Not as bad as like TikTok, which, well, that's supposed to be like banned today. Did that go? Can we? Oh, and the reason why Careless Whisper is at the top of the screen is because I just got a comment earlier that just said Careless Whisper, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's just the song, but like, I don't know if they're referencing anything else. But let's see, TikTok ban. Is that something that, did that go through? TikTok ban
Advert. Trump agrees to Walmart deal. Trump approves deal between... Okay. Okay, so there's some deal and it's stalled. Will become our technology provider and provide us with hosting all U.S. data and securing us. Okay, so never mind. It's here to stay. And hey, I've never been really in the group of people that wants to demonize the platform. I totally understand the people that don't like it, and I understand the legitimate problems with it, but I also feel like people kind of... people are kind of... we're missing, basically, that platform that, like... Vine left a hole in a lot of people's hearts, and as the people that kind of like grew up with Vine, like grew up and grew out of it, they kind of went on to YouTube and like different areas and Twitter and wherever they wanted to make their like particular brand of content. But it very much so left like a hole for that very like in your face, here's a couple of seconds to really make a thing, or here's something creative in a couple of seconds, and of course it's gone off and become its own thing, and it's definitely not the same, but it is interesting. I don't know. I find certain things on it legitimately funny. People are going to create good content with whatever you hand them. And that's very true for YouTube as well as a platform. It's very interesting to look at YouTube as like something that has existed in the online sphere for so long, because of course the algorithm is going to make things change, and what's favored at one point may not be favored at another point. And that's true in both like the type of content that's being created, but also it's also true in the fact that the length of content. There we go. There's where my brain was going. But like sometimes the platform in its history has favored longer videos that are up for, okay, here's like 45 minutes of Let's Play. And then other times, like, it was the 10-minute videos. Like, when it very first started, of course, and for a while, it was those very short videos, and then it kind of transitioned into longer videos, and then kind of, like, mid-length videos. And it's just kind of, like, in a weird in-between now, where, like, different channels can make different lengths work, but there still are some definitely good rules to follow if you're trying to start off on the platform. A lot of it, which I completely ignore, again, because I'm not good at this. But on top of just, like, ranting to you guys about random topics and things like that, and trying to touch base, I'm hoping at some point while I'm here talking, some subscribers or some people that I know hop into the chat, so I have a little more to react to, and it isn't just me rambling off, but I do have a few topics. I'm sorry, I am tired. That I have set aside. And also, in the title, I have Pokemon cards, because I have this. I got this a while ago, and due to some recent conversations with people, I did find out that this set is kind of cool. So this is like the Hidden Faith set, and it has a lot of shiny Pokemon in it. And today was Porygon Day in Pokemon Go. Yes, I still play Pokemon Go, but I only play Pokemon Go on community days. I do not, like, regularly sit down and play it. I mean, if I'm just sitting around and, like, I've already scrolled through, like, a bunch of, memes, and I've already, like, responded to all of my snaps, and I've already, like, gone through everything on my phone, and I have nobody who I'm actively talking to, and there's nothing really good to watch, or I don't have my headphones or whatever, then occasionally I'll still check out Pokemon Go, see what's going on, because it doesn't really hurt me to have it on my phone, and while it isn't as big and active, it's something that a couple of my friends still have, and it's kind of nice to be like, oh, I got this, a couple of my old buddies, like one in particular, he and I still kind of brag whenever we get like a shiny Pokemon or something that the other person doesn't have, and it's just something fun. And I enjoy some content creators like A-Drive who really do have a focus on shinies, and because of that, I thought it'd be cool to open this. That's why I have the mat. Full circle, we're back. I told you I'd explain why the mat was here, probably, at some point, and then the cat jumped on it and things got confusing, but hey, it worked out. Holy! As you can see, I'm a professional who's really good at things, and my webcam is just my phone. Everything is a lie. Beep! And I'm back. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so I do not have an actual webcam. I just have a phone app that turns my phone into a webcam, and then I have it currently sitting on a lamp over there. And because of the way that, like, that is set up, it is not the most stable, so I do apologize for that. All right, are we good? Yeah? Okay, sorry, I was trying to make sure that I might be at a slight angle, and I do apologize, but I don't want to touch it again, because if I do, I'm pretty sure it's just going to break, and I really don't want that. So, what are some topics that I want to talk about? Because I do not want to sit here and open Pokemon cards all by myself. I think that'd be kind of boring. So I am going to wait until at least one person feels bad enough to hop in my chat, and then I will open Pokemon cards. But in the time being, I recently have been watching my way through the Gravity Falls commentary, and I think that's really interesting because that's a show that I have talked about on the channel, and it's a show that I revisited only because, like, as soon as I got into my new job, like, in my friend group, I tend to be pretty outspoken and I'm able to talk pretty openly, but whenever I'm in a new setting, I tend to be a little more reserved and I kind of, like, have to warm up to people before I am my natural bombastic self, where I'm like, here's a weird fun fact about, Colonel Sanders. He used to hop counters at KFCs and show them how to properly make chicken, which got him taken to court, in which KFC lost against him. But, because that was like a situation that I did share something at work, which was really weird. But anyways, I had a coworker who kind of was looking for something to watch with his wife. And I guess at some point they had watched Gravity Falls, so that got me talking with another coworker and him about Gravity Falls and some other similar programs like Owl House, who again, like Dana Terrace... Dana Terrace worked on Gravity Falls for season 2, and she did, like, storyboarding. And again, she has a personal relationship with Alex now, but she did a very good job on the show in terms of storyboarding. So, like, it's really interesting, like, looking back on shows people did before Gravity Falls, like Alex Hirsch and I'm trying to remember. He named, like, 2 or 3. Oh, and I'm blanking on the name, but the creator of Over the Garden Wall. Both of them spent some time working on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, a show which still haunts my dreams, and I do not think I will ever truly recover from the things that I saw on that show. But hey, I'm glad that it had a lot of really talented people on it, and it did. Like, if you go and look at, like, The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, like, I'm really reconsidering, like, a lot of the praise that I put towards, and it still deserves the praise, but a lot of the praise that I put towards Adventure Time in terms of being this pillar in animation that really transformed the direction in which the media was animated media was going. While I still I still believe that it deserves a lot of that. The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack had, like, in terms of the people working on it, a really star-studded cast of people who were gonna blow up and get involved in a lot of very important projects later on, and that's very interesting to me. So eventually I might just do an analysis, and I'm fairly sure I've seen other people's videos on it, like, not that I've sat down and watched them, but ones that are on the similar topic of, like, why Flapjack was important for animation. And again, like, looking back on the show, and what I remember about the show, and how haunting it was, that's very odd to me that it was something that had some kind of relevance or importance like that in terms of animated history. If we really do look back on what the show did for animation, if in nothing else for making some of the connections which allowed these later projects to be as important as they are. Because Over the Garden Wall is another show I would absolutely adore to talk about. It's a show that came up during this conversation, and it's something that I recommended to my coworker because it's a show that has such an interesting vibe. It feels less like your standard cartoon, your standard miniseries, your standard piece of animation, and instead it feels more like you are experiencing... I'm sure there's a word for it, and if I better understood literature or things in that topic area, I'd probably have a better way of kind of summarizing this specific, like, feeling, almost this vibe that I'm trying to get. But it very much is the vibe of, like, the, what is it, like, New England style, like, old-timey, like, horror, which has now kind of been more aimed so at kids stories, the go-to example of what falls into this genre. And if anyone is ever watching this, which I thought I had a viewer a minute ago, I no longer have a viewer, so I'm so sorry. But if anyone ever goes back and watches this and wants to comment on it or something, or maybe I could look into if there's a name for this like genre of animation or something. Wait a second. Can I just? Oh, hi. It's just me. Okay. But yeah, like a Headless Horseman type story, like that is very much the vibe of the show, and it very much feels like it's not a show where you can just watch one episode and go like, oh yeah, that was a really good one episode. Like it really is its own experience, which is really encapsulated in all of the show, and that's why I highly recommend like people just set aside a night and just binge Over the Garden Wall, because it's like a 10 or a 12 episode show. I think it might be 10. And just sit down and just watch it, and actually like it's. Like, when I first sat down with my girlfriend to watch it, like, she was very much, the first few episodes, she was like, this is weird, I don't know, and then, like, by the end of the show, she's like, that was great, and we talk very fondly of it all the time, but it really is something that, like, is only as good as it is as, like, a full package. While there's other shows that, like, very much so have standout episodes, and while I think Over the Garden Wall is a show that has standout scenes, I feel like it really is something that needs to be almost experienced like a movie, more so in the same way that a lot of miniseries are, because that's really what it was advertised as. It's very short, but, like, a lot of miniseries, in terms of, like, live action, which tends to be the more standard form of like miniseries, are ones that are kind of almost like a TV movie that have a little more length and detail to them than just something that is like an hour and a half block or something, or an hour, which is your typical like TV movie length. You're not going to find something that's as long as usually what you would see in cinema or something like that, and I feel like a miniseries kind of fills a weird middle ground. But again, it's not a show that I've looked too much into the background of, so I'd love to look into some of the production of the show and see what it's like, but like just looking into the production of Gravity Falls, it very much is interesting how so much of what the show was able to do just had to do with timing. I'm so sorry. I have no idea why I'm yawning so much, but a lot of it had really much a lot to do with timing. Specifically with who was involved with the show and when. And I'm not even done with the commentary, so this isn't going to be like a full thing that really encapsulates the entirety of the show and what it was. But in terms of some of the, individuals that they were able to get on the show during various times during its production, God, I am blanking on the name of this gentleman, but he's the voice of Morty in Rick and Morty, as well as the voice of a lot of other characters, any very big name in animation right now, but they got him for Blendin Blandin on the Gravity Falls, and I think they literally got him, like, right before he was on Rick and Morty, and he was working down the hall on a show called Fish Hooks, and, like, Alex Hirsch had looked up to, like, had already admired him, so they were like, hey, let's get him in for something, and they were able to, and he is a fantastic character, and a lot of who they got was just, like, weird luck, and then by the time that like the second season kind of came around, they had like a better name of just not being this like just trying to get people onto a project that really doesn't have a lot of episodes, really doesn't have a lot of following. It's always going to be a lot harder than you have a season out, you have a dedicated fan base, and Gravity Falls had an extremely dedicated fan base because it was a show that had that mystery element, those puzzles, those codes, all of that stuff, which it's very interesting to go back and, like, yes, a lot of the puzzles and the codes, like, had meanings and stuff like that, but, like, a lot of the mystery, a lot of the stuff was really up in the air for a long time during the series production, and a lot of it really was writing themselves into a corner and then finding the most creative and most, like, streamlined way to get themselves to involve all of the pieces that they had given themselves, and I think they did an absolutely great job, and I almost find that more admirable than seeing it as this thing that they had perfectly streamlined from the beginning and simply just were working along and ironing out the little things as they went through. There were very much times where they were completely stressed. There were so many episodes they didn't get to make, so many episodes that had to get changed in production for this thing or that thing. And watching the fact that they were able to make something that felt so coherent and felt like it really did know exactly where it was going from the beginning till the end. Like, I'm sure if you really sat down and tried to pinpoint through all of it, like, you could be like, okay, well, this didn't necessarily line up. And there are definitely some things, but, like, in terms of animation and in terms of what it did for continuity, there aren't a lot of shows, especially a lot of shows in terms of, your Disney Channel or your Nickelodeon or your Cartoon Network that really had that big focus. there are definitely shows that did, and there are shows that very much benefited on being a story-based show, and that is something that they pointed out during the commentary, and it's really not something that I consciously thought of, but it was something that I guess I had kind of taken note of, but again, it's something I just sort of took for granted, in the sense that in terms of how a lot of animated shows are getting a life on streaming services now, they are very much so able to make things in advance and then just kind of have them air, once a week, but it's all completed. Versus how TV animation usually is, in which they kind of have a deadline in which they have to get episode out. And Gravity Falls was able to have a very rare opportunity in which they were given the chance to make the first 7 episodes of the show before they really had to put, like, anything on the air. And they could produce them in any order and then air them in any order. So naturally, they made the first episode last because they really, trying to figure out the way to best sell your show to your audience is something that is extremely difficult. And I can totally understand the stress of trying to be like, is my audience going to like this idea? Are they going to buy it, what I'm doing? And so I was like, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And it wasn't just like trying to set out to sell the characters, and it's trying to sell the world. It's trying to sell, a lot of concepts, especially in a show that is as, atypical as Gravity Falls, in which, like, Grunkle Stan is not a character that you're going to see in a lot of children's animation. A grifter who's greedy and rips people's off and, like, has, committed crimes across the world and is not really your standard, kid show role model. But the Gravity Falls was also very much, again, not a typical kid show in elements like continuity, and the fact that it really wanted to show that, like, things have weight, things are going to change, there are going to be things that happen in one episode that affect another episode, and they did so from the very beginning in ways that were very interesting, ways that were made to specifically, lay the track, basically, of being like, hey, change can happen in this show. It's something that is going to happen in this show. The very first example that you can really notice, and it's not something that you're kind of conscious to be like, oh, this is why they did it, but it's something that helps serve that purpose, is the fact that when we first meet Dipper, he is wearing that brown hat with a star on it, and anyone who really knows Dipper doesn't necessarily associate him with that hat. They instead associate him with the, blue pine tree hat he gets at the end of the first episode, and that's something that he continues to wear for the rest of the series. And, there are some episodes, was it Northwest Manor, where he's in a suit, so he's not wearing his typical outfit. There are some times where he's without it, but the majority of the time, and the most associated part of Dipper's outfit tends to be the hat. And it was just kind of something going like, hey, normally when you go into a cartoon, the characters kind of wear the same clothes, and then, that's it. They always kind of look the same, and, that's usually just easier for TV animation. And there are shows that go above and beyond in order to make it so that their characters do change clothes, and that's something that is admirable, and something that's like Gravity Falls does have a lot of it, very much so in terms of, like, Mabel. Mabel's a character that very much so wears a lot of different outfits, and there are a lot of different episodes in which various characters wear different outfits, so it really does even push that, again, as another way to show that things are changing. This isn't your standard cartoon. Another element is the fact that, like, Mabel gets waddles at a fairly early point in the show, again, like early episodes with Blendin Blandin, Time Traveler's Pig, and the fact that she is able to keep Waddles, and Waddles becomes a regular part of the show, but he wasn't there at the beginning, is something that is a good sign of, the show being like, hey, we have a continuity. This is something we introduce, and it's not just going to go away. Would you like to say hello? No? Okay. You guys say hi to Wendigo? Yeah, she's good. She was taking a nap, and she wanted to see what I was doing because I was trying to set all this up, aka, like, go and plug stuff in underneath my computer and such, and she was like, what are you doing? Don't stand on my keyboard. Don't you do it. Don't you push the buttons. But yeah, no, it's just super interesting getting, like, a lot of insight and behind the scenes, because I very much so, have had a good time talking about different shows and stuff, and, like, while I've touched into the production of a few of them, mainly, like, my Castlevania thing where all I did was talk about the production because I was supposed to have some more follow-up videos, and maybe one day I really would like to get around to it, because like the original reason that even got like a part 1 was because all I wanted to do was talk about the fight choreography in that show, and then I was like, nah, I can't make a whole episode just on that, and then I ended up making just a whole episode on the production because I wanted to try to like build up to talking about several other things of the show, because I really felt like at the time that I needed to give general overviews of shows and not specifically just talk about single aspects of them. But like I feel like there's so much general overviews of a lot of stuff and there are people who very much so just talk about single aspects of a show, or they talk about a show through a specific lens, and that's something that I really wish I had just like gone back and done just with that one, because then I wouldn't feel like it's holding over my head like it's something that I have to do at some point, which is unfinished, which currently it feels like to me is like, that video is great and it's cool, but it's not like what I wanted to make in terms of Castlevania. In terms of Castlevania, I wanted to talk about... I'll talk about it right now. And maybe I'll still make a video on it, because I doubt really anyone's going to watch through 45 minutes to get to this point of me just kind of rambling on about absolutely nothing. But the thing about Castlevania is it's a show that has a lot of positives and negatives. And if you want to talk to anybody, whether it's somebody who was already a fan of the series through the games, or if it's somebody who enjoys just the animated series and doesn't have any experience with the games, or it's somebody who enjoys both, or it's somebody who enjoys one but not the other, it's somebody who really doesn't know anything about it but happen to see some of it, or, you know, whatever, everybody's going to kind of have a different way of feeling about it. Like what I talked about, I think, in my production video a bit, is like areas like the music are very much divided amongst people who are just fans of the show and people who are fans of the games, because the games have a very iconic soundtrack. And now I'm somebody who's never played the game, so I can't really be like, oh wow, like, yeah, this music's obviously inferior to this, you know, sweet ass pixel music. I know that's not what it's called, but like whenever I hear about like the, you know, the old school like game music, I know it has a proper name, I don't remember what it's called, so I'm just like pixel music. And like, yeah, it's awesome, it's great, and it's like suspenseful for the boss fights of the game, but like I can understand why they didn't necessarily want to make that, and like maybe they could have like re-upped it, you know, done it with actual musical instruments and stuff, because I feel like that's what the majority of people are like meaning when they say that anyways. But I see what you're doing, you're trying to jump and you're gonna knock down my camera. Oh, don't fight me. Onto the floor with you. Ah, everything is falling over. Whew. But, yeah, so there's a lot of areas in the show which are very highly debated. Another one, again, that I mentioned during, I think, the production video was in terms of, like, dialogue, writing, and character stuff like that. It's because, like, a lot of the writing is extremely hit or miss. A lot of the plot points, a lot of the character interactions, hit or miss. In the fact that sometimes they are, you know, sometimes they feel great, sometimes they feel natural, sometimes characters have great on-screen chemistry, like Alucard and Trevor are, you know, probably the fan example of, like, characters that work really well on screen. They have, like, a great, you know, frenemy thing going on in which they hate each other, but they kind of like grow this grudging respect by the end of the show, and they kind of like each other more, and they go through this big like quest together. And then you have like more so failings like, you know, Trevor and Sypha, which they're supposed to have this like romance thing, but they really only have like one moment of chemistry, and they spend a lot of time bickering too, but like something about it just doesn't feel as like genuine, as like much of a fun rapport. I don't know. I'm not, again, great in terms of writing necessarily. I do my writing mostly for fun, and like so I don't have a great understanding as to why this is, but it's just something in which the characterization feels a little bit off. It feels like maybe there wasn't enough time to develop everything they were trying to do. But one area that I feel like the show really excelled in was in terms of its choreography, specifically during its fight scenes, because the fight scenes are extremely satisfying to watch. Now, there are some in Season 2 where I felt like maybe like the CG was getting a bit much, and upon where you're watching some in... Season 2, Season 3. I can't even remember what seasons are out right now. But there are definitely some points in the no, it's Season 3. Yeah, Season 3. where there's definitely, I think, like one particular fight scene where I'm like, that there, okay, I definitely can tell there's CG, because the show very much does blend styles of animation with 2D and CG stuff. But a lot of the time, I really don't feel like it bothers me. A lot of the time, I don't think it's something that necessarily takes away from the show, because I feel like it's okay to use various forms of media, and I definitely think it's awesome, like, watching them blended, because there are some amazing, things that look 2D or are 2D and use 3D for certain elements. I mean, you get this a lot with anime, for worse a lot of the times, more often than not for worse than for better, in terms of, CG cars or CG arms or CG robots or CG monsters, which very much so just kind of clash with the environment. And that's like the biggest thing that I think is an issue when it comes to any kind of like animated scene and any kind of like animation going on, is like, it's okay to use these things, but if the thing is so distinctly different and that isn't adding to the scene, and it so takes me out of it in a way that I'm no longer focused on what's going on and I'm more so focused on like the way in which it looks, then I feel like that's less valuable to the episode as a whole, or the show as a whole, depending on like how often it's used, and it's really doing it a disservice. Like, yes, it's I understand like making a show isn't easy. I understand that making animation is particularly not easy, and I understand like doing all of that on a certain deadline, especially in a project like Castlevania, which was really in production hell for a very long time. So I'm not going to hold it against the show. I'm just saying like moments like that very much so take me out of it. However, the majority of the fight scenes in Castlevania are extremely entertaining to watch. A lot of them are just a fun ride of, just bloody good times, swords, magic, badass fighting. Like, it's great. And the area that I specifically wanted to talk about was the diversity in the fighting styles of the individual characters, because each character within the show has a very particular way of fighting. And a lot of shows are going to, more shows that I do appreciate have picked up on this fact. This isn't like a particularly new piece of information, but choreography matters in animation in the same way that fight choreography matters in live action. And a lot of, live action movies don't necessarily understand this, which every character just kind of just like throwing and punching and the camera shakes and there's like a lot going on and every bad guy waits their turn before running at the good guy. Like sure, like it gets the job done of going like there was an action scene, and for a lot of people that aren't looking for anything in particular, it does the jobs of being suspenseful enough, and it does the jobs of being entertaining enough. But when you want something that is like particularly, going the extra mile, especially a show that has a lot of characters and doesn't just have like one particular main character that are going to be involved in fighting in some capacity, are going to be involved in, combat and have some focus on them. Having like a show where everybody's throwing identical anime punches at each other can be cool, I guess, oh my god, like they're fighting so hard, they blew back a tree, wow. But giving the characters individual ways of going about fighting is something that I feel like adds to every single fight scene, because you're able to tell who's doing what, you're able to enjoy the individual ways, and I feel like, especially in Castlevania's case, the ways in which each character fights is very much so reflective of that character themselves, their personality, and like what they are, What are you doing? What are you doing? She's trying to play with my headphones wire. She's just like, ooh, it's like my string, because she's recently fallen in love with one of my old shoelaces, and it's like her favorite toy at the moment. So anytime now she sees like anything like moving around like this, she's just like, oh, shoelace. It's really cute, but she has like unplugged my headphones quite a few times trying to play with them. But Castlevania, it very much so is reflective of its characters in the ways that they fight. And I could go through a lot of the characters, but I'm just going to focus on like, the big ones that I like had at least written something about at some point in time, where you have like your main cast of 3 with your Trevor, your Cypher, and your and your Alucard. Belmont. What is wrong with me? In which Trevor very much uses, he's the Belmont. If you know anything at all about Castlevania, it's that Belmonts use whips. And he very much takes advantage of that, but he very much has, a more brutish fighting style.
depending on like how sober he is usually, but in the fact that like he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's very much like your human fighter type, in which like he has his go-to one weapon, but he'll also, you know, punch you right in the face if it turns into a bar brawl. But he very much so uses his whips, and he gets like the Morningstar whip, which is a very special one, which has a great reaction with vampires when it comes in contact with them. But they do a lot of creative things that would be entirely impossible with a real life whip. Maybe, I don't know. I do not know much about the competitive whipping community, but perhaps people can do a lot. Like, I've seen some skill stuff, but nothing close to the kind of stuff they pull off in this. And you wouldn't expect that. It's animation. It's meant to, you know, suspend, like, your disbelief for just a moment and allow you to see something awesome and just be like, yup, that was, oh, yes, do it again. Kill him more. And it very much so is a show that benefits greatly from that. Because some of the things that Trevor does while he's fighting monsters with these whips, and some of the moves that he does and the ways that he gets the whip to move are just amazing to watch. And you can tell, like, I hope the animators are proud of some of the fights that they got out of him, and it's awesome. And then you have, you know, Sypha, who is very much the mage. She's using magic. She's using all these spells, but she's not, like, just using the same, like, spells, and it's not just, like, glowing light ball. Like, it is creative, and there's a range, and there are, like, multiple ways in which she uses, like, similar spells, ones that make fire, ones that make ice. She does them in different ways. One scene that's specifically, like, you know, relevant of this is the one in which she, I think, creates like an ice wall, like a really thin one, and just like splits a vampire in half with it. That's something that's like very creative, and it's a way that like the character uses ice without it just being like a big shard of ice, a big icicle spear, like something we've seen a million times. You know, just splitting someone in half with it is really creative. And again, like the way in which she fight is representative of the knowledge that she has as a speaker, and like the, you know, the creative way she goes about it in the different ways, and like her reactions to things, which are very much, you know, she hasn't really had to do these things before, but upon doing them, like, she has a weirdly good time killing monsters. Alucard is a vampire, but like even amongst the vampires, like, they're shown to have different powers. Not every vampire can turn into a wolf like him. There's one vampire who turns into like mist. There's, you know, him and Dracula are probably the greatest direct comparison, because it is like that direct biological line. And for every part of, you know, Dracula, which is brute, pure strength and rage, Alucard is calm and speed. Maybe he's not always calm, but like that's like the big deviation, in which Dracula is very much fighting out of this place of anger and rage. So it's a more representation of brute strength. Like, he will just like beat your face in. While Alucard very much tries to rely on his sword, but when it does come to like fighting hands-on, or again, even when he fights with his sword, it's more so reliant on speed than it is just inherent strength. So they're very similar characters, but they fight in ways that are very very representative of who they are as characters. And this is also, again, like, true of the few times you watch Isaac get into like physical conflicts, in which he is very much so brutal, and he is very much not willing to hold back when you push him to the point in which he feels like he needs to intervene, because Isaac oftentimes to be reserved, even though he is a character that is oftentimes faced with people that are simply getting in his way or trying to stop him, even though like we, the audience, know they're framing him out to be a villain, and he is involved with those who want to exterminate the human race. He is weirdly one of the more agreeable characters in the show, where you're just kind of like, yeah, Isaac's just had a bad time, and like I can't even feel bad for him. Like, he's just trying to make it work, and people just keep, like, he's literally like, I don't have a problem with you. I just kind of got to get from point A to point B, and I promise I'll be out of your hair. And people just kind of want to keep getting, you know. Again, like, I don't even know if you guys can hear this music, or if it's good or anything. I have a problem with just the idea of me talking without anything in the background. But yeah, Castlevania, super fun, super interesting show. There's a lot more I really wanted to talk about it, specifically in terms of, like, you know, there's definitely a deviation. Seasons like 1 and 2 in comparison, 1 and 2 on one side, and then 3 on the other. I definitely feel like I liked seasons 1 and 2 a little bit more. But like I do think it has
potential to keep going. I know that there's been talk about more seasons. I mean, like that's very much how the show indicated it. And I thought I heard that there was other seasons on the work, but I know a lot of things are particularly right now are very much so up in the air. So maybe I don't particularly know, but I have been doing a lot of talking for an hour. So what I'm gonna do really quick is I'm gonna go grab a water, and I'm gonna be right back. So do not go anywhere. Hello, I am back. Kind of. I am in the processes of turning everything back on, but I have returned to my room with water. So, hello, and what is up? Welcome back to me ranting at absolutely no one. Ah! One day I will have a real webcam that will not fall over, and everything will be great and grand. But hello, yes. So when I last left, whoa, a Marshall. What's up, my guy? How you doing? You've missed an hour of me ranting about Gravity Falls and Castlevania, even though that was not my original intention upon starting off today. just sort of happened. I was like, well, I'm by myself. I'm gonna talk about what's on my mind. But yeah, hey bud, thanks for dropping by and supporting me. I was quite lonely, and you're just in time, because I did say that as soon as I had somebody here, I was gonna open this box of Pokemon cards, because I really want to, but I didn't want to do it alone, because I felt like it'd be really lame if I was just sitting here alone opening Pokemon cards. It's much more fun when I'm alone but can pretend you're here. So, thanks for that. Thanks for giving me a reason to open up Pokemon cards. Un momento, por favor, because I think I figured out an angle where I can better show this off. Boom. Look at my box. I am really sorry about like the not great quality. I have a light, but I feel like it just overexposes. I thought it was a video and I was going to watch it later tonight, but then I saw that you were streaming. Yeah, no, I wanted to try streaming over on YouTube, which I did find out that, Streamlabs is really annoying because it will not let you be logged into multiple, like, services for streaming unless you're part of their, like, Prime membership thing. So I had to, like, log out and then set up, I had to, like, reconfigure all of, like, the sources and chat stuff, which, you know, didn't necessarily even end up working out how I planned it. So it's fine. Like, I don't know why certain things aren't working, but, you know, for not really being set up, it's working, so I cannot even complain. I apologize. But yeah, so I recently found out a little bit about this set in particular, in the fact that Hidden Fates was a very big set for shiny Pokemon cards, and I am a nerd who likes shiny Pokemon. So I thought, you know, why not open it, since it's literally just been sitting in my room for the last couple of months, and I didn't know what to do with it. So, you know, I wanted to open it, but I kept feeling like, hey, I could open this on stream for some particular reason. And yeah, so I'm gonna do that. So thank you for being my my reason for actually opening this. I do not know what the particularly valuable cards are in this set, if there are any, but we're gonna figure that out together, right, buddy? So yeah, you know, as you know, for reasons, I have recently had a little more bump of an interest into Pokemon cards, despite never... I'd collected them throughout my life. You know, I was a kid that grew up in the early 2000s, therefore Pokemon cards were currency still. So it was something that I was particularly interested in, but like a lot of my older cards really never had a chance to shine. It does look like it comes with a poster, which is pretty neat. It's actually kind of really dope. So maybe I'll... Look at that. I'll sign this, send it to you, Marshall, just for you, since you're here supporting me. And apparently someone else is. It says I have 2 viewers, so... Hello, whoever else is here. I don't know if YouTube also has robots that watch like Twitch does, or if Marshall has 2 accounts and is pitying me. But yeah, I have that cool poster, so if you want that, Marshall, let me know. I'll kiss it with some Coral Blue 32 lipstick for you. But yeah, so Pokemon cards are something that like I really wish like I had gotten into understanding that they were something particularly valuable, or possibly particularly valuable, depending on the individual cards, at a younger age, because there are definitely some earlier cards that I wish I had, number 1, kept, number 2, kept in better quality, or number 3, had gotten at the time where they would have been significantly cheaper. So, and then there's a cat who's just like, you're opening something, can I eat it? No. I mean, you can't. You can, but like you shouldn't. So you have the, yep, professional. Anyways, you have the promo cards, which are like on the outside here. So we have. It is having. Oh my god. Maybe if I like shine it over there, it'll be a little bit better. But so we have this Rayquaza, which is a shiny Rayquaza GX. I know very little about whether or not this is good in the game, but it looks real dope. And also I have a giant one, which I would like to legally play in the game, because it'd be great to just have this mixed in with like a normal deck, so I could just have cards like, alright, well, they'll never know what's coming. I'm not even sure if these have any particular value, because they are just like the promo cards, but they look really cool. Like these Solgaleo and Lunala, and again, like my camera is not gonna do them justice, just because like I'm just using my iPhone's camera right now, but they are really, really pretty, and I feel bad that I'm just sort of dropping them. But they are, like, I love like these full arts and stuff, and you guys like can't get like a really good sense of it on camera right now, but it looks like really cool with like the pattern of like the foil on it, and they have like a texture now, and that's like something that I think is so cool with like a lot of these newer cards, that they do have like a texture to them. Are these like stuck? Ugh. Yeah, I guess they have like some sticky substance to keep them in that organization, which cool. So we're just gonna put the Rayquaza over here, so it's just not here on my sweet, sweet Yu-Gi-Oh playmat. So Morchel, my son, I got a few different packs here. Which one do you want me to open? Which one do you want me to dedicate to you? You know, they got Mewtwo, you got the Bird Trio, you got Mew, another Mewtwo, a Mewtwo, a shiny Charizard, and the birds again. So you got quite the selection here, my guy. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we looking at today? I am curious though, like while I'm waiting on your response here, to see if any of these cards have like particular value. I'm looking up this Rayquaza in particular just because it's like the first one. I mean, like, you know, they're saying on at least Troll and Toad, and like I know that's like a somewhat decent one. But I'm seeing it like on eBay as well. You know, it's, I mean, they're listing it as like a $40-something card. Shiny Charizard. Also, chat is really behind. I'm so sorry that it takes so long. Don't even worry about that. I wonder, is that something that I can change? Okay, back. I just stop it. YouTube, nope. You know, I'm just not, maybe? The answer is maybe. Can I go to YouTube Studio? I wanna see if I can do this. I will open the shiny Charizard pack for you, my guy. Don't worry, we'll have a chance to review the settings. Schedule a stream for a later date. Built-in webcam, streaming software. Is there a way for me to? Well, I'm already live, so I don't know. Okay, so I'm live right now. Is there any way for me to are there settings? Is there anything I can do? YouTube? So yeah, you're just gonna be a little behind, I guess. Wait.
Live chat. Public. I don't know. I'm gonna say that I have no fucking idea. Whoopsies, I'm not supposed to curse on YouTube. My bad! Yeah, so I have no idea. I'm sorry. Why it's so slow. So there's just gonna be a delay on the chat, but luckily it just seems to be you, so it's not like you're gonna get lost. But again, this Rayquaza here does seem to be like a decently valuable card. Like, at least on one website they're listing it for like 40 something bucks. And I do apologize if you guys can hear the dogs and my sister, which are loud creatures. I'm looking up this Lunala now. It's like a $5 card, $6 card, which isn't bad. Like, that's, you know, I was given this as a gift, so anything we get on here is gonna be a win in terms of that, because I didn't have to spend any money on it. Let's see, this Solgaleo is, again, another, like, $5 card, but again, like, I just think they're really cool. Yeah, don't even worry, bud. Like, the fact that you at least have it open and you're supporting me a little bit, like, I don't care. Like, hey, thanks for being here. I was alone with 0 viewers for like an hour. So the fact that I have at least 3 viewers right now is really cool. And if anyone is here that isn't my boy Morchel, feel free to say hi. If you're another one of my friends, what's up? If you're a subscriber, hi. I'm sorry that I'm so awkward. Goddamn. But I'm opening up Pokemon cards because I don't know how to do any of this properly. I don't normally do this. I am trying. No, okay, so garbage goes over there. I think this is like the weird green card, and then I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Did I do that right? Yeah, because then it's an energy card. And this way, all of the rares and stuff are on the back. So I am a clever boy. So we have a Psychic Energy, and this pack is dedicated to my boy Morchel in the chat. We got a Psychic Energy. We have Brock's Grit, which is a card I got a weird amount of recently, and I don't know why. I think there's like a full art variant or like a holo variant that's worth something. I've seen a lot, but Farfetch'd, Charmander, Clefairy, Slowpoke, Magikarp, Pikachu but a holo, and holo Zapdos, which, you know, cool, you know, nothing bad in there, you know, it's always a good time. Goodbye, everyone, but Morchel. It's nice hanging out with you. But yeah, what are other shows that I've been meaning to talk about or things? See, I am definitely planning like some changes for the channel in terms of one thing in particular, and I guess like now that I've moved on to the box, I can talk about it. I'm changing my avatar on the channel. I'm going to be represented by the Mimic character that, if you guys are personally familiar with me or have seen my social media, it's a character that I have drawn a lot, yet I haven't posted everything I've drawn for them. I think maybe I'll do a big old like binge onto that's not right. That's not the right word. Not a binge, like the opposite of a binge, like a dump of like all of the drawings I've done of this character, because they're a lot of fun, and I think they're a character that I can have a lot of fun as with my avatar. So I've been trying to come up with some ways to introduce them on the channel, and I made some other videos that had them as the main focus of just like some really short like little videos and stuff, talking about stuff like Batman and talking about like non-political Uno, which maybe I'll still release and maybe I won't, but I didn't necessarily want them to be like the introduction to the character. I don't know. I just felt like I have been taking so much time away from the channel that
I wanted the Sandman series to be what I came back with, and it's something that I've recorded entirely for, and I'm really excited to talk about it, but it's something that I've also, again, I just haven't had the time to sit down and edit it, and right now I should probably be editing it, and when I finish opening up these cards, that's probably what I should do. Whether or not I'm actually going to do that, I do not know, because I am very tired for some reason. I do not exactly know, but I'm still going to try and be productive and get that out in the next couple of weeks. So I just kind of wanted to make this as a way to say thank you to everyone who has stuck around on the channel, and the fact that the channel has still grown at some during this period of time is amazing to me, considering the fact that I have literally done nothing to deserve that. I haven't put out anything in a month, yet I have still gained subscribers, and that is like really awesome and something that's extremely meaningful. And again, the fact that like people are still interested in the videos, and it really is that Starlight Brigade video that's bringing in views, but I've had a few other ones that have like weirdly brought in some views. Like my Joker video that hit like 100 recently and is at like a little over 100 right now, which I definitely do not think it deserves to be, but hey, I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. I had somebody who kind of showed up on that video and sent it to a bunch of people, and they were, you know, a couple people that knew that individual expressed that in the comments, and I was just weirdly thankful to them. I was just like, hey, you know, this is a video that like was a half-baked version of something that I wanted to do, because originally I really wanted to make like a full like in makeup Joker video of that, and I just didn't have the patience, and I didn't have the heart, I guess. I was too afraid of putting like all that time into it, and like, you know, having to appear on camera, which is something that I'm still like kind of working on being more comfortable with. And, you know, in my mind, it was definitely a more like scripted and directed thing, where there was like, it would have just required a lot more time and effort, and I really just didn't want myself to like completely fall out of love with the idea in the lapse of that, you know? Ooh, I got a full art pincer. I don't know if this card is particularly valuable, but it is really neat. I love these full arts, like, anytime I see them. I'm not particularly fond of Pincer, which, like, you know, despite enjoying, like, a content creator like A-Drive, who is a big bug guy, I've just never been huge on Pincer for the bugs. There are certain bugs that I do love, whether it's for competitive or just, like, pure design factor, but Pincer, not necessarily one of them. Pincer haunts my dreams. I don't like his weird mouth hole. It makes me uncomfortable. This is like a $2 card, but like, it's neat. It's a full art. I like the full arts, so it'll hang out here with these other guys. Definitely cool. Definitely cool. Yeah, but I really haven't, like, sat to... Oh, no! I did watch an animated thing that I can talk about, so this is, like, a podcast for my channel content. I ended up watching Clone High recently due to an influx of JFK memes. So if anyone out here appreciates some good JFK memes, and I know my good buddy Cullen has been sending me a lot of them because I mentioned that I had watched the show, though he has zero context to the JFK memes. They are highly enjoyable, and I greatly appreciate them. The influx of memes wasn't specifically the reason that I decided to watch the show. I guess it was like kind of like the push that I needed, but Clone High, being someone who does find themselves fairly interested in media specifically tailored towards animation, Clone High is a show that I heard about a lot, particularly from a few YouTubers that I really respect that are like kind of big in the animation side of YouTube in terms of talking about animation. That's not necessarily doing animation, because it's a weirdly small area of YouTube. Like, you want to go into like channels that are specifically like Western animation, and they are not really large channels. While you'll find shows that maybe dabble in both or singularly anime are going to be a lot larger. They have just a much bigger following, and that's just really interesting to to me, that like there just isn't that. And I think that has a lot to do with the perception of animation in this country still, and like the fact that it's something for, you know, kids, is something that still very much runs true. Now this is a mon that I like. This is a Charizard. Look at that. Look at that. Now that there is pretty neat right there. Look at that. Oh. Again, like I have no concept of one, whether or not these cards are good within the actual TCG like Pokemon game, or whether or not they are of any value, but we're about to find that out by Googling this stuff. And again, like I've set this up so it's really difficult for me to actually like reach my keyboard. So we're gonna check out this Troll Toad. Hey, you know, like $6 card. You know, going up to like $10. Not bad, you know. Definitely not bad. I'm not gonna complain about that. So it's just gonna go right up here. Again, this is one of the cards that's got like the sticky stuff on it. I just don't want that on any of these guys. But yeah, so Clone High is a show that I finally ended up checking out, which had been one that I'd heard about for a long time, and I knew very little about it. And still, at least in terms of like the behind the scenes of the show, I know almost nothing about it. But what I can tell you is the show that aired on MTV. Because of that, it's definitely not a show that is going to be held back like, you know, a lot of animated kids shows would be. In terms of, you know, the content and such that it can cover. Instead, it's but it's not like a show like... It's not like your standard adult shows in terms of, like, your Family Guy, which I feel like, and your Rick and Morty, which is really polluted, like, adult animated content in terms of, like, it has to be, you know, shock in a lot of terms. And I know that, like, a lot of people are going to get on me for my, you know, the Rick and Morty has more to it, and I have seen like just jokes out of context from Rick and Morty, which I do find highly enjoyable, and I understand that there's more to the content, but like I definitely feel like for a lot of people, like for a long time, Family Guy was something that was this, like, in my mind at least, like the go-to example of what people expected from adult entertainment in terms of animation. But it's a show, going back onto Clone High, it's a show that's like very much of the animated style of your late 90s to early 2000s TV shows. So, like, the art style was, at least the first thing that it really reminded me of is, like, Dexter's Lab. But it was definitely a little more stylized. Not too much more so, but, like, definitely in a way that the characters have a little bit more weirdness in how they're designed and a little less symmetrical. So it's definitely in its own, but it's like it's a art style very reminiscent of that time in animation because it's from 2002. So... yeah, and it's only got one season, but it did, as of, I think, June of this year, it's either getting, like, a reboot or a continuation, which, having a show that ended in 2003, which, spoilers for anyone who's getting into it, I'm not going to say any specific plot points, but the show does basically end on a cliffhanger, or a, you know, to be continued, question mark, and, yeah, I would have been infuriated, you know, had that... I just noticed something. Oh! Alright, well, that just fell off the wall. I'm sorry. I just had this fall off the wall. It's one of my art pieces, and I just noticed that there's something wrong with it. Like, there's a... I have no idea what's going on, but, like, the paper or something, like, got damaged, so I'm gonna have to take a look at that when I am done streaming, mostly because it fell off the wall, and now it's time for me to try to find a tack. So please enjoy me searching under my desk for a tack. This is true content. This is what the people want. Hunting for tacks. It says I am connected successfully. 1, 2, 3. Morchel, if you're still there, could you give me a sound off in the chat? If I am coming through loud and clear, I was lost to the world there for a second. A shame. But I'm back. I guess I accidentally hit my Ethernet cord while I was under my computer hunting for tacks. So, deeply apologize for the lapse in commentary there for a moment. But yeah, so I am... You're right, so I watched Clone High, and it was a really weird show. Like, even by the standards of shows that I've seen, which include, you know, your Billies and Mandys, your Ed, Ed and Eddies, your, you know, Courage the Cowardly Dogs. Like, I grew up with a lot of really strange content, and even by that standard, and yeah, a lot of it had to do with, like, the focus on certain more adult themes, like sex and drugs and drinking and stuff like that, and the inclusion of a lot of, like, celebrity guests that had very odd roles in the show, in all honesty, in terms of what they were there to do and what they talked about and what they did. Definitely the show was very self-aware of, like, the tropes in which it was parodying in terms of, like, animated stuff like that, in which they had episodes that were musical episodes, they had episodes which were, you know, ended with, like, a thing about talking about the food pyramid. But the basic premise of Clone High is it is a high school, and this is explained, like, right at you as soon as you start the show in the theme song, which, not a super long theme song, but definitely a bop. Greatly enjoyed it. But basically, the government decided to dig up a bunch of people, you know, famous people that were well-known individuals, and it decided that they should put them all into a high school. And I don't know what the end goal is. There's, like, a shadowy organization which stands to, I guess, benefit from their existence. But for the most part, that's, like, a B-plot involving, like, the weird scientist principal, and the main focus is just kind of on the clones being, you know, students at this, you know, this high school, and their random high schooler drama that they would get, you know, they get into because they're all, like, 16-year-olds. And, you know, your main cast of characters is, you know, there are definitely ones that you see semi-regularly, but you have, you know, you have Gandhi as the comedic relief best friend. You have Abe Lincoln as, like, kind of your main guy who's really unself-aware, likes the popular girl, kind of awkward with his, you know, height and weird, you know, teenageness. You have Joan of Arc, who's this, like, alternative, you know, more activist, you know, good heart, you know, in love with the bumbling protagonist girl. You have the most popular girl, Cleopatra, who's, you know, obviously this more, you know, sexual character. You have JFK, the most popular guy, whose only goal is to sleep with people, and is probably the highlight of the show. He is just a weird character that is just a lot of fun, and they do a lot of really fun things with him. And again, if any of you have seen, like, the "nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys" like meme that's going around right now, or like any of those, they're all from Clone High, and they're really great in context, out of context. It's definitely a show that I'm glad I've checked out, and I'm very curious because, like, something that I was thinking about while watching the show is this is not a show that I could really have seen getting made today. And again, I'm no expert on a lot of these things, but I do know, at least in terms of, full art Guzma. Look at him. That's pretty neat. But I do know that the show did rub at least some people the wrong way. I think in its, and don't quote me on this, this is like a kind of a half-remembered thing in the back of my mind, but it's something that I believe a lot of people had issues with the representation of Gandhi. You know, certain people that hold him in high regards had issue with his representation in the show, and I am not somebody of that specific culture that had, like, an issue with it. I know that, you know, his historical relevance is quite, you know, positive oftentimes in its representation, but like outside of what I, the few little mentions that I can remember from class, I don't know much about the gentleman, so I'm not the right person to really make statements on this, but like, at least in the context of the show, I definitely don't feel like they were specifically trying to like target that one demographic or anyone in particular. I think they were trying to just kind of have fun with the concept that they had, and Gandhi was just one of the characters that they had chosen. I mean, like, none of the characters are necessarily the characters they represent, and like a big part of it is kind of like, it's never really deeply explored. It's more so just kind of like a side thing or used for a gag, but it's when characters kind of like compare themselves to the historical figures that they are based on, and like what would they do in this situation, how would they handle a certain situation, but they kind of understand that while they are like direct clones of them, so much so that like they're like children to them in a way, like they aren't them, they aren't raised in the same situations. And then again, like they play a lot of the comparisons mostly for laughs and stuff. Oh great, yeah, this is like a $30 card. Guzma, my man. Is it really? All right, well, this one's saying it could be as low as like 5, but then it's got like up to 80. It sold for 85 5 days ago, so I don't know, dude. Is like Guzma suddenly like, yeah? I mean, another one saying he's 30, so it does look like in terms of like value here, we're working like, something like that in terms of pincers over here where you can't really see, but we got Rayquaza at like 40 something, Guzma's at like 30. You got like Charizard, which is anywhere from like 5 to 10. Then you have your Solgaleo and your Lunala, both around $5-6, and then your Pinsir at 2. I didn't really particularly look at. I did get like a full holo energy card in here, but I didn't really expect that to be worth anything particularly. But it might be. I would like to put these in sleeves. I don't even know if I have sleeves for them, because again, this isn't something that I regularly do. But let me just move my camera back to where it was before, so that you guys can, see my beautiful face. Oh god, man, yes. All right. But yeah, so Clone High is like a really, really weird show, and I like it. I don't know why I like it, and I don't necessarily recommend it for anyone. And if somebody like started watching the show and got to a certain point in it, and I'm not saying like there's a certain point, I just meant like they put some time into it and they were like, this really isn't for me, I would understand. Like I don't think I could like really go like, oh well. And I don't think I can really do this for anything, but I definitely don't think it's an example of a show where I can just be like, oh, well, you're wrong, or like, no, it's objectively good. Like, I can understand any issues anyone would have with the show in particular. So it's something that I'm not going to like go out of my way to recommend it to anyone. If anyone particularly shows interest in like the memes relating to it or ask me about it, I'd still give my recommendation of like, at least check it out. It's not for everybody. Here's some things you can expect from it, without really trying to give away any of the major plot points and stuff. But it is definitely something that's worth going back to, and I'm really glad that I went back to it now, post like this idea of it possibly having some new life breathed into it. But again, like, I don't know in the current like climate of what is seen as appropriate, of like how different this show is going to be from its original incarnation, whether it is a direct continuation or if it is a reboot of the concept. I've heard both kind of going around, but I haven't looked into it enough to know like what the idea is. I mean, like, I can look into it right now and see like what they got going on. So I don't know, Clone High reboot. They're rebooting the animated series at MTV alongside the. Okay, so Phil Lord and Chris Miller are rebooting their animated series Clone High at MTV alongside the show's co-creator Bill Larson. Like the original Clone High, they will follow the predominantly high school figures of including Abraham Lincoln, Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, and John F. This is a Variety article. If you guys wanna see it with me, here you go. I do find it interesting, and maybe they'll go on to explain it here, but they do not list Gandhi here. because he was he was a character that had some like a little bit of like heat around him. As they face the trials and tribulations of normal teenage life, we are thrilled to reunite with Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Bill Larson to reimagine. So it does seem like this is not going to be a direct continuation, but is going to be a reimagination. It's going to be a reboot of this cult classic as we rapidly grow our portfolio of beloved and iconic adult animated series, said Chris McCarthy, president of Viacom. Fuck Viacom. Clone High is the latest 2000s animated series to be a reboot, as it's announced earlier this week that Beavis and Butthead is being reimagined for Comedy Central by the original creators. A Daria spinoff of Beavis and Butthead focusing on the character of Jody, starring... Interesting. See, I never really watched Beavis and Butthead, and Daria is a another show that I've really been wanting to go around, so I think this is more so saying Daria a spin-off. So Daria is a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead? Focus on the character. And Jody, starring Tyrus, is also in the pipeline. So maybe it's a different Daria. I don't know. There's also a show called Daria. I don't know if they're the same thing. Again, this is an area where I didn't watch a lot of more like adult or like MTV or like less so children's specific animation. I know Daria is the show that people absolutely love, but again, I don't know if it's that Daria. And again, I never watched Beavis and Butthead. I just didn't. The art didn't appeal to me. The jokes from it didn't really appeal to me. It felt just. And again, like if you like it, awesome, great, enjoy it. But like it wasn't my cup of tea. The famous directing duo cut their teeth writing, directing, executive producer of the original series, along with Lawrence in 2002. They have gone the course on to direct a whole new slew of blockbuster animated fare, including Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and Lego Movie. Okay, that's quite the resume right there, boys. My personal favorite Spider-Man film of all time. A personal movie that I enjoy greatly, even though I know it's not the greatest, and Lego Movie, which is constantly praised. Last Man on Earth is a TV thing. I guess they were also behind, which I've heard some people liked, but I never really checked it out. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I guess that seems to be the end of the article. Is there anything else talking about it? Vulture. Let's take a look at this. Beavis and the Butthead is I can't believe, like, I've heard so much about the Clone High reboot and nobody has told me about the Beavis and Butthead thing. So, but I don't get my information necessary from like going online and looking at like Twitter and all of these like areas that probably actually talk about the news and stuff like that. I get it from like comment sections on like degenerate stuff, because you know that's where the real news is. So it is getting reimagined. They keep using that word, which makes me think that like they're definitely gonna have to. The press release described the reboot as an updated version. Why is all of this in quotes? That makes me very suspicious. And again, I understand that, like, given today's climate, the show wasn't super sensitive towards a lot of things and would have probably not flown today. I understand that. But I just wish they weren't being so cryptic about it, and if they were like, certain characters aren't going to be coming back, these issues were problematic, they're going to try to make it more inclusive, and like have like a more story center for whatever change. I just wish they were kind of upfront and gave us an idea of the changes. Whenever they're like really tight-lipped with changes they're making to a certain property, and not just going like, oh yeah, we want to like kind of aim at like this thing or this, or like can't even give examples. Maybe they will. But I'm just saying, like, that never really sits well with me. But for all I know, it could be great and there won't be an issue. But let's keep looking a little bit. The press release described the reboot as an updated version of the series that explores high school and coming-of-age tensions through the eyes of historical figures and U.S. presidents. Are U.S. presidents not historical figures? I mean, I guess, like, the current one, but... And I guess the last few... When does somebody become a historical figure? Because I feel like Abraham Lincoln is a historical figure. And I would even argue that JFK at this point is a historical figure. You know, love him or hate him, which I'm not fond of a lot of the things that the real JFK did. Very fond of the animated JFK. But I feel like at least these two are historical figures. But, alright. Was the writer in the original series, will serve as the showrunner for the reboot. Good for her. Erica
I'm sorry, my dyslexia is so bad it doesn't like this. Rivenosia? I tried. Write the pilot episode. Like the original Clone High, this will follow primarily the historical figures who have been cloned and placed back into high school. The press release notes include Abraham Lincoln, Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, John F. Kennedy, and more. Oh, wait, there's a mention of Gandhi. And more as they face the trial and tribulations. Presumptually, this means that the reboot will feature a cast of clone historical figures. Its inclusion of Gandhi as a character in the original series ultimately led to the show's cancellation after one season, as well as an apology from MTV. After protesters in India, this is what I was talking about, protesters in India objected to the character's portrayal. It is not yet known whether any of the original voice cast, including Will Forte, Nicole Sullivan, Krista Miller, and Michael McDonald, will return for the reboot. In any case, the co-creators have, in one form or another, been trying to reboot Clone High for years now, and it's finally happening. So it does not look like we will be getting the return of Gandhi, which is a shame. I understand that it was offensive to certain peoples, and if, this is the amicable solution, I don't have the cultural, I understand that he was an important figure, but I just, for me, I was just kind of like, okay, he's a fun character in the same way that, these are riffs on U.S. presidents, which is the country I do live in. But, I understand that, because, again, the show does not do any favors for either of those characters. But, again, I'm not trying to, stand on this hill and die and be like, oh, this is it. How dare they? What do they think? I 100% understand what they're doing. I 100% understand why. I just wanted to see whether or not they were going to try to include Gandhi again. And for all we know, because the issue was, at least how it's listed here, and from what I understand, was in the, the representation of the character. After protests in India objected to the character's portrayal. So perhaps a very different version of Gandhi will exist within the show, and perhaps someone else will fill his very comedic role. I do not exactly know. In terms of whether or not the original voice cast is going to return to the show, I am not particularly going to be heartbroken if we don't get all of them, but if they do not get the guy who did JFK, if he's still... I don't know about any of the background of this show, but if, he is still around, his things happen, I don't know who he was, how old he is, which one of these people was him. I'm just saying, you need to get him back. He's great. He does, his line reads, mwah, flawless. Yeah, I don't know. Just... Look, can I just find the clip? Yeah, JFK's a great character. I'm so sorry. Alright, it's just... Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys. It's just a real fun show. I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's weird, but yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely think that it's a show that had a lot of potential, and I'm very curious to see what this reimagining, and the only reason I'm doing that is because both of the articles we checked out were reimagining, and I'm like, I do not think this means what you think it means, but go on and keep using them. But yeah, I understand they're using it like that because they are probably directly quoting the press release that was used in which they called it a reimagining. So again, I imagine they're going to change certain things. I am still very curious whether or not they're going to act because it very much so could be a very different take because of the way the original season ended, it very much still could serve as a direct continuation in a more modern setting, or it could just be an entire new take on the show as a whole. So I really don't know what is more likely and which direction they're kind of hoping to go with this reboot, but I am excited to check it out. And again, I am very glad that I did take the time to check out the original series.
before this came out, because again, it was something that I had heard about several times, and I really did want to give it a fair shake. And a lot of shows that I get recommended are ones that I do not end up sticking with for a particularly long time, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. It's just that, like, I have a weird thing when it comes to being recommended shows that I don't know, a show really does have to grab me, or I'm just going to kind of get bored with it after a little bit of time. Like, something about the show has to stand out. Something has to really pull me in. And there are a lot of shows that, like, people I know, like, really enjoy, really love, that I just wasn't able to truly get into because it was something that didn't grab me in the way that I feel, best. I don't know. I don't know exactly how I'm saying it, or, like, there isn't, like, one factor. There's a wide genre and range of different shows that have really grabbed my attention over time. So it's something that I'm excited to see what they do with it. In the same way that I'm very excited to see the adaptation of the Sandman series, which is in the work, which is something that I'm going to touch on a little bit for the series. Something I'm going to touch on a little bit when I do talk about the series. So I am going to show you guys some things that I am working on for the Sandman series video, because I did say that I was going to give you guys a little bit of a preview here. So something that I'm working on, and I did make this for a little video I made on Batman, which oopsies, spoilers for a lot of things, but no, this is all projects you guys have probably seen before. But let me see if I can find this video, because I'm just going to play basically a video that I'm unsure of whether or not I want to release on the channel, because I don't really necessarily think that this is, I don't really know if this is what I want to be the introduction of my new persona for the channel. So I am kind of really up in the air about what I want to do with it. And I'm sorry, I cannot seem to find it. Okay, what about this? Where did I save that? Like, normally I'm pretty good at, like, labeling things, but I have, like, completely lost this video. Did I never... I know what it is. I never actually exported it. That would be it. That would be it. So that would explain something. I'm just going to open my video editor for you guys. I'm currently using Filmora, which I am not actually really that fond of. I think it's okay. But the issue being, I ended up trying it out because another YouTuber that I followed was recommending it or something, or sponsored by it. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, they have a free version. And it was entirely my own fault for not really looking into the details behind it, but I basically made an entire video in reference, like a whole video on it, and it just didn't pan out. Like, it didn't turn out how I wanted, and I was like, whatever, but it's done. And I don't even remember which video was my first one on it, but at the very end, it gave me a huge watermark across the whole thing. That was like the big thing. Like, I put all of that time, all of that effort into one of them, and there was just a watermark across it. And I think it was one of my, like, more intensive videos, and it wasn't something that I wanted to redo. I'd spent weeks working on it, so I was like, whatever, like, how much is like the Filmora thing? And I think it was like $70 for however long it was, but it was just, it was just such a pain. But yeah, so so this is my horribly non-organized video, but this was I'm basically gonna probably steal the introduction to this as the introduction to my character, but for my other video. So we're gonna just sit down. We're gonna give it a watch. I'm gonna hope it's not too loud. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today I will be talking about what hey! Ah!
Hello. Hello, everybody. How you doing today? So, I am so sorry for my absence from YouTube, but hey, I got a job. Like a real person job.
So, yeah, and that eventually goes into me kind of explaining some of the things that I've been explaining during this video about me getting a job and that taking up a lot of my time, and eventually me talking a little bit about Batman. And maybe I should just release that video because it's really not that bad, but I don't know. I'm just feeling a lot of unsureness with the channel. But yeah, we'll sit down and we'll just watch through this. But this is a character that I've been, drawing a lot, working a lot on, and creating, and they are called the Mimic, and they are a lot of fun. And I hope to get to explore a lot more of their character through, the channel, and also some like drawings and comics and like little things that I do to just expand the mythos around them. So, but again, I'll let it play out just so whether or not I actually get this, then it does at least exist in some of its early form just here for Marshall or anyone else who ever stumbles upon this video, and then I'll probably wrap things up because I didn't necessarily want this to be a super long stream, but I just wanted to come on here, talk a little bit about a couple of topics, and have some fun with you guys. So, thank you for sitting through here and watching me struggle with cards and my wall art falling and all of these things. So
Full time and stuff. So that's been occupying a lot of my time in the last week or so, and then before that, it was just a lot of anxiety of the pre-job process and all of the background.
Also, there's no
stuff, and just trying
background
to make sure
noise
that was all in order.
yet.
And
Sorry.
I don't do well when I'm stressed about other things. My disorganization.
Oh, there
is
is.
cranked
Never
up to
mind.
10. But yes, I am still working on some projects in the limited free time that I now have. But just wanted to make a little fun video for you guys, just to say, hey, not dead, even though it's been a few weeks. And I'm sure you guys have been online. If not, how the hell are you watching this video? But I'm sure if you've been online for as long as I have and share any kind of interest in media, maybe you don't delve into comics at all, but like certain characters, such as the Dark Knight, have bled their way into cartoons, into movies, into video games, into merchandise. And so, if you don't know who Batman is, get off my channel. Anyways, Batman is a character that has been around for a very long time, and it's very interesting to me because I see jokes like this a lot of time. I just think it's really interesting because
So I did not actually have yet edited in, but I was basically going to show a meme, which is these memes you see a lot of the time where it's like, Batman, I'll never kill. Killing is wrong. And then it's like Batman like breaking someone's jaw for like breaking their spine or leaving them to die or just straight up shooting them or something like that because, I get into the explanation, but like that was the meme that is gonna go there.
I see them quite often. That probably has to do with the sphere of things I'm interested in, so they're gonna come up more often. But the thing about this joke that I always find really interesting is that comic characters have to deal with an issue of characterization which you don't see in most other forms of media. For example, if you write a book, that character really only has that as the source of their character, and you as their specific author as the source of any information on them outside of that. But that's not quite the case with comic characters. You're dealing with stories and characterizations from various writers over the better part of a century, so of course there will be contradictions. The Batman from the animated series, and the Batman from the Arkham games, and Batman from The Killing Joke, and the Batman from the Adam West Show, and the Batman from the Nolan movies, and the Batman from the Bronze Age comics aren't the same Batman. Yet, very often, they're all lumped into this identity of Batman. And because of that, it's very funny to riff on the idea of Batman being like, oh, I don't use guns, I don't kill people, but then either A, directly infringing on that and killing people, or beating them senseless to the point where they are either left to die or will never be the same again. However, very different versions of the character with elements of him remaining true, but Batman has been a character that has existed since 1939. A character that's been around that long is going to have so many different interpretations. Some that are completely different characters, not just Bruce Wayne has held the mantle of Batman. Some of them are going to have very different takes on the costumes, and we're going to have very different takes on his characterization. Some versions of Batman are going to be kinder, some versions of Batman are going to be crueler, and it really is up to the author and what stories they want to tell. And there is so much range within the comics themselves, but once you delve into the extended media, then you have to deal with a lot more. The Nolan movies, or the Snyder film, or the upcoming Batman are going to be able to show a lot more than in terms of violence than in Batman the Animated Series. However, in terms of pure storytelling, at least from my take, I greatly enjoy the animated Batman. I'd go so far as to say, possible video idea for the future, that the animated version of Batman from the animated DC universe, a la Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, all those shows that also involve like Static Shock, that is the best version of Batman, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of got sparked by seeing one of these pictures come across my feed again, and I was just like, well, you know, I'll throw my 2 cents in, give a little update that, hey guys, I got a job. It's a lot of fun. Don't really want to talk about it, but it's a lot of fun. And yeah, stay tuned for that Sandman series. I think my script is like 10 pages long at the moment, and I'm not even done writing it because that's all just been the research and summary.
So yeah, that just then goes into, again, me kind of defending why I haven't got my video out, because again, it was a lot of research, a lot of script writing, and then like job and like some other personal things and all of that stuff. But I am still very excited to make content on the channel. It's just really hard when my mind is 100 different places and I got a lot of other responsibilities and personal stuff. So thank you guys again so much for sticking with me and subscribing and being a part of the channel and liking stuff and commenting. I do try to get on. I have missed a good few comments over the last few days, and I feel really bad about that. I really was just kind of in a low and thinking like, oh, nobody's really going to be commenting, but I came back to like 7 different comments, and I know that doesn't seem like a lot when there's people out there that are like, you know, getting thousands of comments as soon as they upload a video, but that was like, that was really nice, and they were all really nice and talking about like how they were excited or where they were about like the Starlight Brigade video, and some directly about like my coverage of it. So it was really cool, and you know, thank you guys for sticking around and helping me get this. So you know, I hope you guys are excited for me to try out this new direction for the channel, this new mascot for the channel. I think they're a fun representation of me. I think they're a very fun representation of you know, my edgy interests, but also like some of my other interests. I think they're a character that lends themselves very well to creativity, and a lot of other outlets for me. So hopefully you guys like their design, like them a lot. But yeah, so I am probably gonna hop off now because I should probably get some food in my system here in a little bit. But you know, thank you guys so much. And I again, you know, hopefully you've enjoyed like slogging through this this longer video with me. I'll probably just like have it go right on the channel after I'm done here. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much. You know, share my stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that good garbage. And yeah, hopefully some more content on the way. I have, again, so many ideas planned for after the Sandman, but again, it's probably going to be a little bit slower just for a little while because I do have some big changes coming up and like possibly a move and some other things. So I gotta figure out a lot of stuff right now. So it's just, thank you guys so much for sticking with me because this really wasn't a good time for me to try to balance all of this stuff, but that's life, you know. It's hard to always get it all balanced and get it, you know, sometimes everything just kind of hits you all at once and you're just trying to figure it all out, and I'm just trying to figure all this out, guys. I really am. It's weird getting older and changing and doing all this stuff, but I'm not gonna bog this down with all that jazz. I just want to express that I am thankful for the little community I got growing here, and you know, please feel free to like interact with me, comment, talk to me, like reach out. I have a Discord, like whatever. I'd be happy to add some of you guys if you were down, but yeah, let's yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.